for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for the sick, handicapped, recently departed, and military personnel of our community. Roll call.
Mr. Henderson?
Here.
Mr. Petroselli?
Here.
Mr. Colosimo? Here. Mr. Gallarducci?
Here.
Mr. Verducci? Here. Mr. Shashovsky?
Here.
Ms. Cimaroli? Here. Mayor Copeland? Here. Solicitor McDermott?
Here.
Engineer Brett?
Here.
I'm Joe Power. Chief King?
Here.
Assistant Chief Maglin?
Here.
And Chief Miller.
Here. Okay, I'd like to just make note that we had an executive session from 5:45 to 6:45. Again, before the meeting, talk about legal matters and personnel matters. With that, we have a special guest in our audience tonight. We will call Bridgeville's own State Senator Devin Robinson. Devin is here to talk to us a little bit, present some good news to us. To you.
So I wasn't really prepared to give any type of speech, but I could just say that, you know, the one good thing about being a senator is that there's some discretionary funds that you're able to give away and actually positively impact a number of communities within your own district. So whenever one came up from Bridgeville, I tried to do my research and make sure I see, you know, where the money's actually going to. So I went down, always walk my dog on the way to coffee in the morning, and I took a little detour, and I knew where Warner Street was. And I took a look at it and said that there was a landslide there. And so I contacted Joe Cower, and I said, is this just for that one particular landslide, or is it for the whole street? And he guaranteed me it was for the whole street, and I try to make sure that, you know, the money goes to the good causes and to communities and people that I know are passionate and are going to follow through and do things the right way. So this checked off all the boxes, and I wanted to make sure that we got it and we secured it, we cleared it through the county, and it was announced that that it's been approved. So got you a nice check here for $500,000 for Warner Street.
Sure. We're doing now?
Yeah, you can do it now.
Yes, we can. And I might add, I invited a very patient resident of our town, John Duncan. John lives right across the street from that area.
That's my street.
Yeah. And he's been to several meetings and has politely asked us many times, and
That's great. Yeah.
so I know he's happy.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
So maybe get everyone together?
Sure.
With dinner.
I'd also like to thank my girlfriend Stephanie for coming out tonight. We canceled dinner plans on Valentine's Day. Sure you are.
Being twice now.
Plus it's going to be 13 degrees out there.
There you go.
Now, don't sit down.
No, I'm setting it up.
All right. Good.
All right, guys, on three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Joe, this will clear the bank, right?
It's really tough to get into that ATM. That's a terrible autograph.
Hey, remember when I brought that flag to you?
Yes?
That was for him.
Oh, I have them in the back room.
It's been 3 months.
That's not for me, for my own. It's for the library.
Oh, yeah, we have it.
Let's clear that.
Yeah.
Mary,
So it's
Well,
been there.
for 2 of
Because
them,
I dropped it off, I was like, you guys need a flag?
Well-
He's like, I don't think so.
I'm sorry. I'm going to get on him then.
I have.
It's in the supply call.
Okay.
Dan, is that there?
It's on TV,
It's not on TV. There you go.
Very nice.
Very true.
You'll need to spend a small percentage of that on your dinner later tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Fryer.
Thank you. This is, it's related to roads, but I just wanted to show you a drawing, Bridgeville, the network of 8 roads that come into Bridgeville, which you've seen many, many times. But I want to emphasize again that the heavy line, this heavy line is Washington Pike. It's 4 lanes wide. It was 4 lanes, was never continued through Bridgeville by PennDOT. Likewise, this is Bower Hill Road. It's 4-lane widening stopped, as you know, at Painters Run Road. It's widening or 4 lanes was never continued into Bridgeville. And we have this network of roads that was built over 100 years ago, primarily for horse-drawn carriages, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, excuse me, when you guys get to the comprehensive plan, you've got to make sure that this problem is solved. You've got to make sure that you've got to start thinking like a owner of of 2 shopping centers, the Washington Avenue Business District Shopping Center and Baldwin Street Business District Shopping Center. You've got to make sure that you have adequate consumer motors flowing in and out of there, adequate parking and so on. And I went to that meeting the other night at the fire department about biking and pedestrian safety in the community, which I totally agree with. And there was a great deal of talk about Bank Street and pedestrian access across Bank Street. And I just wanted to mention to you that Bank Street is an important part of consumer access in the Bridgeville, probably more important than Bower Hill Road. And the pedestrian safety is essential. But what I wanted to suggest to you is, let me show this first. One of the improvements that you can make on Bank Street would be when Bank Street meets Dewey Avenue, which is probably the most dangerous part of the whole street. It's positive. Traffic takes a right on Dewey, and it takes that hard 90-degree turn by that house. This is just what can be done to make that turn more gradual. Right now, buses and trucks cannot negotiate that turn. What happens every time a bus or a truck comes in either direction, it stops the traffic from both directions. It's just another reason for people to drive around Bridgeville, and we've given them enough reasons already. And the other thing I was going to suggest to you to consider is once the incoming traffic toward Bridgeville gets around the left turn from Dewey on the station, probably a greater percentage of the traffic takes a right on Railroad Street. And we're by that little Gulf gas station. These are the dimensions that you might be able to consider if you want to make that turn easier. In other words, make it possible for buses and trucks to make a right turn there without tying traffic up. Now, these things, I'm sure you guys have read or gone to classes about consumer motorist behavior behind the steering wheel. Things like this just discourage them. And I think Bridgeville is proof of that, because 40 to 50% of the people who live in this region or drive through this region don't drive through Bridgeville anymore because of the traffic problem. Okay, thanks again.
Thanks, Bob. Let me assure you that meeting the other night, those were conceptual ideas.
Yes, I understand.
There was nothing etched in stone or anything.
Yes,
By yourself.
Thank you.
James Shady.
I'm James Shady. I live on Baldwin Street. I'm not talking about that though. I'm just curious. with the upcoming elections, are there any plans to ensure against disruptions at the polling places by people whose intent is to harass voters?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, we typically have the police patrolling the area, but I don't know that we have anything special in place. Opening up to the floor here, I don't know. They have constables at the polling places. They have election monitors there, and they've been schooled, and their intentions are to report things when they see it.
Okay, and will there be someone on call to intervene if someone just shows up self-appointed observer or anything?
If I might, short of a police intervention, there's actually an elections court that sits in session during all elections, and both parties and their monitors, they know how to get to them, they know the rules, and if they feel violated, they'll go straight. And sometimes you'll hear on election day, there's injunctions or there's court hearings that go on downtown if something like that ever happens.
Okay, because with the current climate, I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible. That's what I was curious about.
Actually, the last election, I mean, it wasn't publicized too much, but there was an issue down at the Google Manor down there where a citizen approached a candidate about very abusive. And he got away, didn't catch his car or anything, but it was, I wasn't there, what I understand was pretty nasty. So times are changing a little bit. I mean, I've been voting here for over 30 years, never a problem, but things are getting a little strange lately. So, I think I know what you're saying, but we don't have police outside or anything with cards or anything like that. We shouldn't have to. Hopefully it won't happen. Hopefully it's just a one-time deal. Never know.
Yeah.
I know Chad will be there on his white horse if we have problems.
I think technically by law, we're actually have to stay a certain amount of feet away from the polling places as local police, because any election violations have to be held, I think, by the sheriff's department. But obviously, if something happens, we're going to be there. And I know personally on election day, I drive by all the polling places, so, we're not going to let anything egregious take place, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know we're not a big target, but I was curious. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other public comment before we move on? All right, let's get on with the order of business. I need a motion to approve the January 10th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as submitted. So moved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the February 2022 bill list.
I'll move. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the February 18th, 25th, March 4th, and 11th payrolls. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-1, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing the borough manager to submit a traffic signal maintenance agreement for future modifications to install an adaptive timing system at the intersection of Presley Road and Washington Avenue. Long overdue, right? This project it's a PennDOT project to install the same adaptive timing technology that is currently installed at the other Washington Avenue traffic signals in Bridgeville, from Presley Road all the way to Hope Hollow and Scott Township. So good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the funding is already.
The funding's in place for the project.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Is it not going to be installed till 24?
Right.
Hopefully we'll have some more development around here. I need a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-2, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville requesting statewide local share assessment grant of $1 million from the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the McLaughlin Run Flood Control Project Phase 1A.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senator, I have a little packet for you to take with you to support that.
Okay.
So whenever you leave. I think that's good reading at dinner time. I need a motion to authorize the disbursement of $9,631.62 from the Capital Project Fund to G. Salandro Excavating LLC for partial payment number 2 and final of the Chartiers Park Stream Restoration Project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the execution of change order number 1 for the backwater valve contract phase 4 with Osiris Enterprises, decreasing the contract by $8,775 based on final in-place quantities and work performed. So moved. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the disbursement of $107,490 from the sewer fund to Osiris Enterprises for partial payment number 2 and final of the backwater valve contract phase 4 project.
So moved.
In favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the borough engineer to prepare project bid specifications and advertise the 2022 road program based on a recommendation of the Public Works Committee.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the execution of lease agreement by and between the Borough of Bridgeville and the Bridgeville Athletic Association for Chartiers Park concession stand for the 2022 season.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize a donation of the surplus John Deere tractor to the Bridgeville Athletic Association for the purposes of dragging and maintaining the infield at Cook School Park for the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Committee.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize having the Bridgeville Day on the Avenue event and authorize the closure of Washington Avenue between Bower Hill Road and Hickman Street. And the committee is currently considering several different dates. So
So we're going to table that, Mr. Chairman, or?
If somebody could second that and then under discussion, we may
Okay.
bring up the table.
I second. Thank you.
So under discussion, we are entertaining a date change. There'll be a lot of PennDOT construction on the south end. We need to coordinate several things before we can announce an actual date. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Richard McElways from the Bridgeville Parking Authority effective December 31st, 2021. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We could write in a letter, thank you, in the first year of service.
Motion carries. And Mike still added, we have 2 vacancies on that authority right now, so any Bridgeville residents are interested. I need a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager and solicitor to authorize the purchase of 7 residential properties at the Pima accepted appraised 2018 values that are included within the awarded and accepted FEMA flood mitigation project on Baldwin and Market Streets.
I'll move. I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the hiring of Aaron Cardillo as a part-time police officer based upon the recommendations of the mayor and chief of police.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept the lowest bid received for base bid and add alternate number 1 from Steel Nation Environmental in the amount of $33,000 to replace 4 catch basins on Station Street and Darby Way. This project is partially funded by a $23,348 awarded CDBG grant. The borough's match is $9,652 payable from the MS4 program budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Has there been any work done by this company in the past?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the purchase of a Caterpillar 420 XE backhoe loader with front and rear grapples, forks and thumbs from the Cleveland Brothers Cat at State CoStar's price of $136,485.
I so move.
Second.
Under comment, this is budgeted for the 2022 budget from line item 05429-717. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the purchase of a mobile Evolus radar speed warning sign at a cost not to exceed $3,075. So moved.
Second.
And under comment, this is budgeted in 2022, budget line item 19492-134. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any comment?
Yeah, we've been trying for years to get them, but they were 5,000 the last time we wouldn't. So finally, they would have been reason. Even they go up.
These are the kind you can move around town, right?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize R&R Masonry Restoration to repair the left side exterior wall of the Borough Building at a cost of $7,900. This is budgeted for in the 2022 budget from line item 19429-125.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Need a motion to authorize Omega Company Incorporated to refurbish and restore the Borough Building front entryway awning at a cost not to exceed $11,500.
Second.
Under comment, this is budgeted for in the 2022 budget from line item 19429-125. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is it going to look the same, or just cleaning up the rust and
It will look the same, it'll be painted.
painting it? Need a motion to accept and pay any commission due to January 2022 real estate tax collector.
I'll move. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the December 2021 and January 2022 treasurer's report.
I'll move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept the January 2022 police report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, committee reports. Administration. Nick Giselle.
Thank you, Mr. President. The recently reformed admin committee met last week. Council President Henderson actually had the opportunity to sit down with Collier to continue to open discussions and reestablish communication with Collier Township, their new commissioners, as well as their interim borough manager about everything we're trying to do with the north end. So we're just trying to keep up with that, and hopefully we can get that taken care of here shortly. I know there's some things we're doing on the south end, and we want to continue to make sure we're having those open communications with our friends over there at Collier to try and remediate the north end. So, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, Nick. Finance, Joe Reducing.
Okay, Finance Committee, the 2021 audit is underway. Documents have been provided by the auditor. He normally gets that done sometime in February, is in our report. The 2020 liquid fuels audit was completed by the state on January 25th, and no findings for that audit. And the surplus transfers for the capital project fund and new flood reserve have been completed. So we've done those transfers. And the borough ended 21 with a greater revenue than expenditures, so that surplus will be transferred to the capital project fund later this year as well. The property and liability coverages have been renewed for 2022, and it actually, believe it or not, went slightly down. And the public officials and employment practices coverage for 2022 was renewed as well, which was at budget. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for Joe? Thanks, Joe. Parks and Recreation, Joe Gillespie.
Okay, picnic shelter reservations for the residents of the borough open on March 1st. I called down here at the borough, talked to Cheryl Valentino, she'll hook you up. New gateway signs for 4 parks have been purchased and they'll be put up in the spring. They match the signs that were recently put up saying, "Welcome to Bridgeville." They're nice looking signs. Look good on our parks. Electric can dryers have been installed in all the restrooms, in all the parks in the borough. Recently, we've had issues with people putting toilet paper and whatnot on the toilets and clogging them up, causing issues for our public works folks. So with the electric hand dryers, they're nice, those new ones that do a good job, but we have to make sure they don't get vandalized. But we have everybody listening, we have our cameras in the parks now, so behave yourselves. As we discussed, Bridgeville Day on the Avenue it's going to happen, we just haven't figured out the day yet. We're looking forward to doing that again. And Joe is going to be applying for a couple of grants for the playground equipment down at Cook School Park and over at McLaughlin Park. Stuff that Cook's over 20-some years old. It's so serviceable, but I think it would last get some new ones up there. And McLaughlin definitely needs some new playground stuff, I think, to go around with all the work we did down there. And I think we need to look at Chartiers too. At the back of the park, it's a newer set, but it's like over 20-some years old, and it's been vandalized. I think it might need some work. So hopefully we'll have enough money to take care of that also. That's all I have.
Any questions for Joe? Thanks, Joe. Public Works, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look everything here, I don't see cutting grass. That's wonderful. That's a joke, right? Well, everything is pertaining to the winter here. Obviously, this work always to repair equipment and so forth. And I certainly want to apologize to the resident, and it's no fault of anybody here, that the manager came up, there's shortage of salt, but you couldn't find any driver. The salt was there, we couldn't find anybody to bring it in here. So it isn't that we ignored our, whatever we have to order. It was ordered what we need. But Safayette, we talk about a Safayette land or something, and we have to give it back. So we did the hills, and we ignored the flat stuff for a little bit. But it was a matter of one day, everything was taken care of, right?
It was from midnight to
From
6
midnight.
a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Right.
The citizens didn't even
Didn't
notice
even
the
notice.
service reduction.
But
So I
we
think
know-
it's okay.
Joe and I, we panic because what happened here? But everything turned out okay. Everything turned out okay. So it was no fault of anybody. They couldn't find a driver to bring the salt. Can you imagine? It's like everything else happened with the cycle, the COVID, et cetera, et cetera. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Any questions for Nino? Public Safety, Bruce Gallarducci.
Yeah, the only thing I have, Mr. President, is Public Safety Committee, along with the mayor and the chief, we're going to meet this month. And we have several things. Joe has a list for us, so we'll get together and try to resolve some of it and bring it back to report at the end. That's all I have.
I do have, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I do have something for public safety. About a month or two ago, we have a resident that mentioned that we should have a traffic light on Presley, on top of Presley, and the road that comes from Santa Barbara. And Joe and I, we discussed that, Mr. Calvert, we discussed that. And he feel maybe some improvement could be made there, but I encourage public safety to look at it in the very near future.
It's on the list.
It is on the list.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it, so, thank you.
Any other questions for Public Safety? Okay, thanks. Mayor, how do you go?
On February 2nd, I was privileged to swear in as a full-time patrolman, Dane Lower. And our chief of police in our department participated along with 43 departments across western Pennsylvania in presenting police patches and notes to Joshua Eastman, a young child at UPMC suffering from cancer. And Chief had our Sergeant James create the note to go along with the patch from our department, and it reads, "Dear Joshua, enclosed you will find some patches and a couple of my pins that I wore for years. My son, his name is Brandon, is currently fighting childhood cancer also, and we have a saying in our family, in this battle, no one fights alone. As such, I requested, and you were approved for the title of Honorary Police Officer with the Bridgeville Police Department. Our mayor and chief of police both have signed off on this honor for you. Your certificate is enclosed. Now, as you are an honorary police officer, this means you are now a part of our police family. You stand with us, and we will stand with you. As you are now a part of our blue family, you will not fight alone either. You are in the thoughts and prayers of the members of the Bridgeville Police Department and all your new brothers and sisters in blue. Stay strong and fight for us as we fight for you. Sincerely, Sergeant James, Bridgeville Police Department." These were delivered to him. They were collected by UPMC police officer who delivered them to Joshua on the 9th floor. And they said that Joshua and his mother were looking out the window to see all of the cars that took part in this special event for this child. Thank you.
Very cool. Thanks, Mary. I actually saw that it was on the news. There was a long line of police officer cars. You guys were in that?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Police Chief Chad King.
Thank you, Council President. I provide you with a written report if there's any questions or anything that needs clarified, I can do that. I want to thank you for approving the hiring of part-time officer Aaron Cardillo, and I'm going to ask for a motion to move forward with the process to fill a vacant sergeant's position within the department.
Before we do that, I'll make a motion to amend
Amendment what we already had, or?
No, I'm sorry, we have to amend the agenda, because we're adding that to the agenda. So I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include the chief's motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried now. You know,
I make a motion that we allow Chad to start the pursuit for a replacement for Sergeant. There was 3 officers that are available, or candidates for it, and so I asked for a motion to start that process.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chief?
That's it.
Thank you. Solicitor Thomas McKee.
Thank you. You have my written report. I don't have anything to add to that for the matters briefed in the executive session.
Thank you. Any questions for the solicitor? Borough Engineer, Kendall Brown.
We did submit our memo dated February 9th. Nothing additional. Any questions on the memo?
Questions for the engineer? Thank you. Senior Fire Chief or Assistant Chief.
Thank you. We had 30 calls last month. We've been relatively busy with a couple snowstorms we had. We were doing standbys, a couple snow events, so anything significant, we'll usually have guys stand by our station just in case anything happens. To my knowledge, nothing did happen, a couple minor accidents, but like nothing crazy. So also the fundraisers going out, always check our Facebook page periodically. We have different raffles going off, so there's always good prizes. I know there's a few in the works getting talked about. And then also our hall was recently renovated. So any events, please contact either Ray Costain or his wife Dawn through our Facebook page or their phone numbers on there. if you want to check it all off for any kind of events. That's all I have.
You have to say we had a chance to see the new hall or the active transportation meeting we had. It's beautiful. You guys did a really nice job.
Yeah, it was a lot of work with a bunch of different contractors doing things, and our members, helped out with things to keep the cost down low. It was a lot of work, but I said it all turned out very beautiful, really nice.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Any questions for the fire chief? Southbridge EMS Danville.
Nothing to report this month.
Thanks, Dan. Staying safe out there. Trying. Anyone from the Historical Society? Do you have any?
Yes, I do. President Wise would like you to know that we are busy with membership renewals and campaigning for new members and corporate sponsors. And the February 27th program at 1:30 is about heroic women of the American Revolution. And we also have a new shipment of gray sweatshirts, $20 for small to extra large, $23 for 2XL. We want you to stop in and see the Historical Center, the pictures that we still have for sale from our former resident, who was an artist, Marge Orlandini. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the library? Parking Authority, no. Planning Commission. Justine, you have something?
Well, it's in my report, mainly that we did have a reorganization meeting. I was nominated again for chair of the planning committee, and I accepted. Mike Toller is vice chair, as well as Dale Livingston will be the secretary. We did welcome 2 new members, Melissa Giuliani, lives on Bank Street, as well as Elizabeth Belliver. So they're brand new to the organization. We did have a little discussion about the active transportation plan in anticipation of the meeting on the 8th of February. We did have about 35 people there, residents, new residents, which was interesting. And we look forward to that report, and then we did have a comprehensive plan, short discussion as to where we project that we're going to be able to go to, or we should look to go in 2022. That's it.
Yeah, I know we're getting ready to get that ramped up, right? Yeah.
Kicks off this month.
Yeah. Any questions for Justine, for the Planning Commission? All right, Borough Manager Joe Coward.
A couple of quick things. I'd just like to recognize the Public Works crew. Over the past month, they've been putting in really long days and weeks. Pretty much the whole weekends have been shot with snow call-outs. So we've got a really dedicated staff, and they should be applauded for that. Second thing, the solicitor updated you guys on the flood buyout program on Baldwin Street. It's finally progressing. Over the past month, we closed on 4 properties that the borough now owns. 3 are still being worked out. The asbestos survey work to make the bid documents ready to go out to bid is being completed as we speak, so that we're on track to have the project bid and be done over the spring. This past month, we assisted 2 residents with tenant relocation funding assistance, and that was on their bill list, so it was rather unique to go through that process. So we're on track to have this project, pretty much all properties acquired and demolished by late spring, early summer. So as we were hoping for, it's on that track. We also received approval today from PEMA for the fire department to use those properties for training exercises before they're demolished. There's certain requirements, can't burn it and stuff like that, but that's all been relayed on to the fire chief. So at least there's an element of working together. So that's it. In line with blight removal projects, the 2 properties that are as part of the state blight grant that we got for 671 Baldwin Street rear and 733 Marple Road is currently out to bid. The bid opening is set for early March, so it'll be back here with the March agenda. And then the other property that was funded by an awarded grant, it's called an Act 152 demo grant, is being administered through the COG. They completed their asbestos survey, so they're just waiting for the direction to put that project out to bid. So we're on track to have a lot of the blight within the community pretty much abated and removed by summertime. So there's 3 significant projects that are all hitting at once. In line with grant projects, as you saw on the agenda, we're being very proactive and doing anything we can to get funding for the long-term McLaughlin flood control project. So there's a new grant program out with statewide gaming money, and we're seeking the max of that program for the McLaughlin Phase 1 project. There's another flood mitigation grant that's coming out this spring through the state that we're applying to as well. So probably next month's agenda will be that resolution. So we'll have 3 irons in the fire. So hopefully we'll get some traction here on this project. We know that it's going to take some time, but you got to get the name out there and let people know what's going on. So I just want to keep you guys informed.
Thank you. One question on the Water Street, we've got the grant for tonight. Do we have to rebid that? Is that something we have to go back and bid?
Yeah, we'll put it together with the county front ends, so as soon as that document comes out, we're ready to go.
After the meeting tonight, there's a formal acceptance that we need to sign and return back to the county. And then once they get that, they'll prepare the grant contract, and that's what Kevin needs for the bid documents. So I'm hoping that within the month, we can have that
Typically, it's a month, 6 weeks.
They do like a pre-bid meeting so that you get your bureaucratic stuff on. It's very structured.
We just have to keep John and Morby playing this month-long vacation somewhere.
Yeah, let me know, like, let's go take off.
We can give you a shovel.
You can supervise.
Yeah, I can do that, yeah.
Yeah. Anything under new business?
I can remind everybody that the Bridgeville Southdale Rotary's Trivia Night is officially April 9th in Chartier's room. We are expecting a very quick response for people that had such a great time last year. So if you like trivia and want to come to the event, get with me or go to the Bridgeville Southdale Rotary website or Facebook page for the reservation form.
Anything else under new business?
Make a motion, Chair.
We'll have a second.